We'll begin class the way that we end class, and that is with Shavasana. Our backs on our mats, palms up towards the ceiling. A little mini Shavasana here. It's an opportunity to relax the body and to start shifting our attention to our bodies. We tend to be trapped in a lot of thinking. Our yoga practice is here to support us in deepening that body awareness and then starting to build that bridge of our physical, mental, emotional body. Inhale here and exhale. You'll start to notice your forehead, shoulders, down the length of your spine, down the length of your legs, all the way down to your heels and toes. It's all right if you're thinking about something else. We're training the body to shift as a primary vehicle of awareness. Inhale, exhale, sigh it out. Now I'm emphasizing that sighing out because you'll notice an immediate sensation in the body, some sort of connection there. It's difficult to explain, but it's that connection of the physical, mental, emotional body. Inhale, belly expands, exhale, sigh it out. You're releasing that culminating tension from this past month, from this morning. You're starting to release your tasks of the day, of the afternoon and evening. Notice that as we welcome our breath, we welcome our experience. We'll be here for about 10 breaths. So allow yourself to relax. Inhaling, noticing your belly expand, rib cage expand. Exhaling. You want to imagine that your belly is this balloon. Inhaling, slowly filling up with air, and then exhale, slowly releasing. It takes enormous concentration and focus to lengthen our inhale just a little bit. And the same thing with our exhale, lengthening our exhale just a little bit. This is how we start to shift into our bodies. Inhale. Exhale. Sigh it out. Once more, scanning your body. Releasing around the forehead, neck, shoulders. Down the length of your spine. Down the length of your legs. To your heels and your toes. Welcoming your breath. Welcoming your experience, whatever is there. Good or bad. Just noticing. Intentional breath, inhale here and exhale. We'll begin to invite a full body stretch. So that full body stretch looks like you're lifting your arms up overhead, perhaps interlacing your fingers, pointing your toes, lifting your abdomen up towards the ceiling. Starting to gently release throughout the spine and shoulders, starting to notice little areas that feel a bit sore. As you're here, invite one intentional breath. Inhale here and exhale. We'll start to release our hands. Remain on your back. Start to press your left foot towards the front of the room you're in. And then start to shift and lift that leg up towards the ceiling. Your right leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers right behind your knee. So your left foot is flexed. Right foot extends up towards the ceiling. We'll begin by rotating our ankle here, clockwise, counterclockwise. Noticing your heels here, toes, tops of the feet. You're simultaneously drawing your shoulder blades down. And after you've taken a couple of rotations there, you can shift your attention to your calf muscle by pressing your heel up towards the ceiling. Deep breath there. And then your choice here. You can start to shift that attention to your hamstrings. Bringing your leg closer towards you. You can invite a generous bend to your knee. You can lengthen your leg as much as you can. You can remain here or sway your leg towards the right and then towards the left. You want to shift that stretch into the right hip, into the lower back, deepen into the hamstrings. Hold here. Two more breaths. And then slowly release that heel back down towards the floor. Release. Bend your left knee, extend your left leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers right behind your knee, rotating your ankle clockwise, counterclockwise. Remain here. You want to simultaneously flex that right foot as well, lengthening that right leg. That's to offer some more stability as well as gently activating around the core. Shift that stretch into the calf muscle by pressing your heel up towards the ceiling. Pointing your toes downwards towards you, towards your belly, towards your chest. Take a breath. And then release that calf stretch. Focus on your hamstrings. You can bring your leg closer towards your belly, your chest. Keep that right foot flexed. You can sway your leg towards the left, towards the right. Up to you as you notice that stretch from hamstrings, hips, glutes, lower back, and hold. You're holding the stretch, breathing into the stretch. Intentional inhale here and exhale. One more breath. Inhale, exhale. And then practicing slow, mindful movement. Slowly release your heel back down towards the floor. Intentional breath here. Inhale, exhale. Once you've reached the bottom of that exhale, bend both knees. Cup both knees with your hands. Round your spine. Forehead lifts up towards your knees. And then drop your head back. Make sure your elbows remain close to your thighs. Second round, lift your forehead. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Release around the neck and the shoulders. Drop your head back. Third round, lift your forehead up towards your knee and hold. Drop your head back. Start to lengthen both legs up towards the ceiling. Hold here. You're noticing that gentle stretch behind the knees and hamstrings. And now flex your feet. Slowly release your feet towards the floor. Now you're going to find a point to hover. Find that point. You're activating around the glutes. Core strength as well. Breathe. Inhale, exhale, hold. And then release your heels down towards the floor. Take a breath. Soften around the tailbone. Inhale and exhale. Second round out of 3. Bend your knees. Lengthen your legs up towards the ceiling. And then slowly release your heels. Find that point to hover and hold. Inhale, exhale. Now your feet could be hovering 1 foot off the floor, 2 feet off the floor. Hold. Palms on the mat. And then release. Take a breath. Softening around your lower back. Inhale and exhale. Last round, bend your knees. Extend your legs up towards the ceiling. Slowly release. Activate your core, your glutes, and hold. Palms on the floor. Take a generous breath here. And release your heels down towards the floor. Being particularly mindful here and softening around the tailbone and the lower back. We'll bend both knees, hands cup our knees, and then shift towards the left and then towards the right. You want to protect that lower back around the tailbone. You can even make circles here, bringing your knees close towards your belly, your chest, and then gently pressing them away from you. You need your hands on your knees here. A few rounds here. And then we'll go ahead and release the pose. Start to ground your palms onto the floor, and then let's lengthen our legs out in front. Invite a little bend to your knees. Flex your feet here. Draw your shoulders down, and then fold. You're leading through your chest as you release down. Belly towards your thighs. Hands can reach anywhere. They can rest on your thighs or shift towards your shins or your toes. Remain here about 5 breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Slowly lengthening your legs. Up to you how much you want to keep that bend to your knee. Just make sure you're not locking your knees. It's a general rule of thumb in yoga. It's keeping your legs long with a little bend to your knees, whether we're stretching or working on some strength or on balance. Use your breath to assist you. Feel free to hear your inhale and exhale. Deepening into the stretch with your breath. This is what makes this not a passive workout. We're engaging our breath. We're holistically building that bridge physically, mentally, emotionally. And release. We'll shift into a cross-legged position. Focus a little bit more on our upper body. Let's lift our arms up overhead, interlace our fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. You can either lift your gaze up or keep a nice neutral gaze towards the front. Hold. Stretch towards the left. And then opposite side. Chin is neutral. Round your spine, forehead towards, or not forehead, chin towards your chest, and then palms towards the front. Round your spine, separate your shoulder blades, and release. Draw your shoulders down. Let's take 3 breaths. Inhaling and exhaling for the day we've had so far. Inhaling and exhaling for this moment. And inhaling and exhaling for the rest of our day. At any point, exhale, sigh it out. If your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. Release your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers behind you. Draw your shoulder blades close together. We'll start to lift your chin up towards the ceiling. And release. Just shift into our forward fold. So as you shift into your forward fold, you're going to check in with your feet. So your feet are about hips width distance apart. You have a bend to your knees and then fold all the way down. So your arms can dangle. You can cup your elbows with your hand. Hold here. Inhale, exhale. And now ground that left hand onto the floor. Have a nice generous bend to that left knee. And lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Hold here. Deep belly breath here. You can lengthen that left leg ever so slightly to intensify that stretch in the left hip, left glute, left hamstring. And then release. Right hand on the floor, generous bend to that left knee. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Hold. You can lengthen your left leg ever so slightly, intensify that stretch there. Around the glutes, hamstrings, hips. Release your hand. We're going to roll up slowly. Head comes up last. So there's a particular focus here that we're learning to slow down. And so you're slowly lengthening your spine at your own rate here. Head comes up last. Shoulders drawn down. Mountain pose. We're inviting an active mountain pose here, either with hands framing your hips or hands in front of your heart center. Now that active mountain pose means that we're noticing our feet grounded on the floor, our core is strong. Whether your hands are in front of your heart center or if your hands are framing your hips, you're placing some extra attention there on your palms, on your fingertips. You're drawing your shoulders down, chin is neutral. Your choice, keeping your eyes open or closed. If your eyes are closed, if your eyes are open, make sure you're focusing on one point. Inhale and exhale. Here, let's sigh it out. Notice that next breath cycle. At any point, inhaling here, exhaling, sighing out. We're releasing that to-do list that we created earlier in the day. Arriving to this moment, noticing your heels, the length of your spine, either palms pressed against each other or noticing your palms spread open, framing your hips. Take that intentional breath. And then extended mountain, we're going to lift our arms up, palms face each other, lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. So a little bend to your knees. So our extended mountain pose is active. You're drawing your shoulders down, chest is open, your palms are active. Hold here. Inhale, and then on an exhale, we're gonna dive down, forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, let's sweep our arms up overhead, energizing here. Hands in front of our heart center, bringing down that energy of the day down to our heart center. Let's inhale here, exhale, perhaps sigh it out. Release your hands. Inhale, lift your arms, extended mountain. About 1 breath, 2 breaths here. Palms are active, fingertips are spread open, shoulder blades separate. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice how you come up to standing. You can roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. We're starting to make this practice an individual practice. Notice what supports you. Either hands in front of your heart center or hands framing our chest. Inhale here, exhale. Last round, lift your arms up overhead. Palms face each other. A little bend to your knees here. Exhale, fold down. Hands to shins, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice how you come up to standing. Grounding through your heels. Either palms open, framing your hips, or hands in front of your heart center. Generous breath, belly expands, ribcage expands. Welcoming our breath, welcoming our experience. Inhale, exhale, side out. Release your hands, two-legged balance. Lift your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. Keep your gaze steady on one point across the room. Lift your heels halfway or all the way up. Hold. Noticing if there's any shift here with your breath. Any changes in your breath. Try to take a nice even breath. Inhale and exhale. Supporting your balance as you're activating around the glutes and quads and core. Hold. Draw your shoulders down. And then release your heels from here. Interlace your fingers. Extend your elbows. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling. Hold. Bend your knees. Fold down while you're simultaneously keeping your arms long behind you. Shoulder blades knit closer together. There's a bend to your knees. Hands to your shins. Inhale, halfway up 3 times. Exhale, release. Second time, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Third round, inhale, halfway up, making sure your neck is relaxed as you fold down. Your choice, how you come up to standing, roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. Do so intentionally. Anytime you lift up to standing, it's a good opportunity to regroup, check in, and notice immediately what's in front of you. Whatever it is that you're noticing. Could be your heels, could be your palms, could be your breath. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Good. 3 sun salutations. We're going to prepare for that. So as we prepare for our sun salutations, either hands framing your hips or hands in front of your heart center, you'll notice your heels. Be intentional here with your practice. I'll go ahead and cue, but if you need to move a little quicker or a little slower, go for it. Release your hands. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Step back into your plank pose. Make sure your hands are right beneath your shoulders and then legs are long. You're lifting your core up towards the ceiling. You're engaging around the glutes and the quads for support. Keep your elbows close to your torso as you release down towards the floor. Upward facing dog. Extend your spine. Draw your shoulder blades down. Tops of the feet are on the floor. Curl your toes. Lift up, downward facing dog. You're grounding through your palms. Heels are lifted. Generous breath here. Bring your chest closer towards your thigh. Generous breath, belly expands. And then take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Sweep your arms up overhead, grounding through your heels. Noticing both palms come to touch. Left hand pressing against right hand pressing against left hand. Generous breath, inhaling here, exhaling, sighing it out. Welcoming your breath, welcoming your experience. Release your hands, arms lift. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back into your plank pose. Hands are right beneath your shoulders, elbows close to your torso. As you release down towards the floor, inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a breath there, or 2 breaths, or 3. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Sweep your arms up overhead. Hands meet right in front of your heart center. Take a moment here to ground through your breath here. You're noticing your heels, the length of your spine, the quality of your breath. Third round, release your hands, arms lift. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Don't stress out if your breath is not synced up with the poses. Exhale, release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Remain here in your down dog. Taking 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. And then take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to your forward fold. And then sweep your arms up overhead. Once more, noticing that as you lift up to standing, it's a perfect opportunity to ground, to arrive to this present moment. Inhaling and exhaling. Release your hands, 2-legged balance. We lift our arms up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling. Lift your heels halfway or all the way up. So we're preparing for our tree pose here. So first we want to experience that balance. 2 feet on the floor. Hold. And then release. You can pedal your feet back and forth on your mat. And the pedaling your feet back and forth is to notice. You're noticing your heel, both heels. You're noticing the balls of your feet. You're going to keep a little bend to your knees. You're going to ground that left foot onto the floor, onto the mat. And then you're going to take your right foot to rest against your ankle. Hold here. Checking in, noticing that you're already balancing by being here. So you can remain here or lift that foot a little higher to your shin, or you can use your hands to help bring that foot higher towards your thigh. Now it's helpful to start finding that drishti point, that point of focus. As you keep your gaze steady, it's helpful to keep your body steady as well. Hands can remain in front of your chest. Hands can frame your hips. You can come up with some cactus arms. You can bring your arms up overhead. So many different expressions of our tree pose. Shoulders are drawn down. Check in with your breath. Inhale here. Exhale. Feel free to step in or out of this pose. Any of these poses, we're here to familiarize ourselves. What is our experience within the pose? What are the adjustments I need to do to feel more comfortable in this pose? Yet also challenge yourself as well. Release your hands and then release your foot. Pedal your feet back and forth. And then opposite side, ground that right foot onto the floor. And then take your left foot, rest that foot against your ankle. Check in here with your core, check in here with your feet. I'm emphasizing that you are being with the body as you're shifting that foot, perhaps remaining here on the floor or shifting that foot to the shin or taking your hands, lifting your foot up towards your side. Your core is activated here. Engage around the glutes to support you. Hips have to be open. Feel free to wobble. Feel free to step in or out of the pose. Hands in front of your heart center and hold. Or release your hands. Lift your arms up overhead. Different expressions. You can keep your hands in front of your heart center. They all convey just a different sort of experience, these different poses. Noticing that as we invite this stillness, there's a lot of movement going on in that stillness. It's a good metaphor. But as we seek balance, there's a lot of fluctuations. This is part of the natural experience here. As we seek balance, there's still fluctuations. And point there. You can release the pose there. Those fluctuations where we step in and we step out. Two-legged balance. We lift our arms up overhead. We interlace our fingers, palms up towards the ceiling, and we lift our heels halfway or all the way up. Hold. Inhaling here. Keeping our gaze steady and focused. Release our heels. Then we'll go ahead and contrast that balance with some grounding poses. Start to bend your knees, shift into your chair pose. So the profile of the chair pose will look like this. I'm lifting my tailbone, I'm bending my knees, arms are lifted up, chest is open. Inhale, exhale, activate your glutes, your quads, hold here. And then bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. And then exhale, release. Step back into your plank pose. Move through your vinyasa from plank pose down towards the floor. Inhale, up. Upward facing dog. We meet in our downward facing dog. Now in your downward facing dog, start to lift that right leg. Bend your right knee. Stack your hips to the right. Hold. Chest moves towards the thigh, your left thigh. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Take a generous breath here. Inhale and exhale. And then left foot lifts up. Bend your left knee and then stack your hips. Grounding your palms on the floor. Bring your chest closer towards your right thigh. Generous breath. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. And then drop your knees on the ground. And then we'll shift back into a child's pose. Bending our knees. Either lifting your arms up, palms on the floor. Or an alternative child's pose is releasing your hands, palms face up towards the ceiling. And then your shoulders collapse forward. Take a moment here to check with the breath. We're going to remain here for quite a few cycles of breath, about 10 breath cycles. You don't have to count the breath cycles, it's more of an estimate. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Noticing that our yoga practice is a holistic practice. We're working with our bodies when our bodies are active. We're working on our bodies when our bodies are relaxed and passive. Both support each other. Here, you're softening, letting the ground support you. I do recommend taking some intentional breaths. We are working on our focus. Again, it's perfectly all right if your mind wanders. It's just part of just everyday life. And you're not trying to delete your thoughts. You're cultivating the ability to observe, to check in, to see what's going on in this moment. To see how can you be more intentional? How can you build that bridge of the physical, mental, emotional body? And we're using our breath here as a bridge. Inhale and exhale. Take that breath that supports you as you ease into this child's pose. Inhale here. Exhale. Two more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Intentional breath. Lengthen that inhale just a little longer than you're accustomed to. And then lengthen that exhale just a little bit more than you're accustomed to. Perhaps exhaling, sighing it out. From your child pose. We'll start to release that child's pose. Lift back up into a downward facing dog. Lifting our hips as high as we can up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Your choice how you come up to standing. Sweeping your arms up. Either taking your hands in front of your chest or taking your hands to frame your hips. We'll take one breath here. Inhale and exhale. We'll start to shift into another grounding pose. So shift onto your mat so it looks like this on the video. So you can lengthen your stance on your mat. Or if you're comfortable with carpet, or if you're already comfortable with the floor you're on, you can just straddle your mat. So we're lengthening our stance here. We're going to shift into a wide-legged forward fold. So here your toes are either spread directly towards the front of the room, or you can slightly turn them inward. Heels ground. Take your hands to your hips and then fold halfway. You're noticing that stretch behind the knees, around your hamstrings and glutes. And to intensify that stretch, you're going to drop all the way down. Now your hands can drop on the floor. Your hands can grip your toes here. You can cup your elbows with your hands. There are different positions here. About 5 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Remain in this pose. You're practicing softening your torso. Dropping your belly towards your thighs. Relaxing your neck. Legs are active. Breathe into the stretch. Inhale and exhale. Actually, feel free to hear your inhale and exhale. That assists you in becoming much more immersed with your breath, this stretch, and then building that bridge physically, mentally, emotionally. Inhale and exhale. Deep belly breath. Hold the pose. One more breath. Inhale and exhale here. Lift your hands up to your hips, lifts halfway, and then all the way up. Now, if you're comfortable, remain in this stance, and then shift your right toes to the right, left toes to the left. If you need to adjust your stance, go ahead and do that. We're going to drop down into our goddess pose. So our knees are stacked here, right on top of your heels. Your tailbone lifts. Hands either in front of your heart center or palms facing each other. You're activating a lot of quad strength here and glute strength. Hold, inhale. Exhale, and then release the pose. So second and last round of our wide-legged forward fold. Point your toes to the front of the room or slightly turn inwards. Hands to your hips. And actually, we'll go ahead and invite an upper body stretch. So let's interlace our fingers behind us. Purposely draw your shoulder blades closer together. Bend your knees ever so slightly. And then release down towards the floor. So you want to micro bend to your knees and then extend your elbows out behind you. Now you can either remain here, keeping your arms long, drawn out behind you, or you can release your hands down towards the floor. If you prefer to cup your elbows with your hands, go for it, or gripping your toes, or keeping your hands on the floor, those are all options. Here, your inhale and exhale. Drop into that deep belly breath. Relax your neck. If your elbows are lengthened behind you, knit those shoulder blades closer together. One more breath, inhale, exhale. Start to ground through your feet, your heels, and then lift, leading through your chest, grounding through your feet, lengthening your spine, lift back up. And then last round of our goddess pose. Right toes to the right, left toes to the left. Bend your knees, about a 90-degree angle to your knees. Hands in front of your chest or hands lifted, palms facing each other. This is a very grounding pose. Summon that inner strength. Notice that stability, the groundedness through your heels. Inhale. Exhale. Hands in front of your heart center. Sit a little deeper. Deep breath. Inhale, exhale, and release the pose. Shift back into your mountain pose. Feet hips width distance apart. Inhale, let's sweep our arms up overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, full down. Inhale, halfway up. From here, release, step back into your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, release your knees down towards the floor. Shift your hands right beneath your shoulders. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. A few times at your own pace, inhaling up, lifting your tailbone, chest is open. Exhale, round your spine. Move at your own pace with your breath. So there's a natural inhale in your cat pose, a natural exhale in, well, there's a natural inhale in your cow pose, a natural exhale in your cat pose, but you can remain in one of these poses a little longer. Inhaling, exhaling to a second cycle of breath in one pose. You want to get that release throughout the spine, the neck, the upper back, mid back, and lower back. Inhale here and exhale. Make sure you tuck your chin towards your chest in that cat pose. Get that release in the neck. And then one more round. We'll inhale up. Exhale, round our spine. And then we'll start to release or tabletop, and then lengthen our arms out in front, or lengthen our legs out in front, and we'll also lengthen our arms out. Make sure you have room behind you to lay down. Palms up towards the ceiling. Slowly start to shift and release down, chin towards your chest. Activate your glutes, your quads, and hover. Hold here. Your heels can hover off the floor, or you can release your heels on the floor. Hold here, and then drop your head all the way back. Relax your body here. A little mini Shavasana here for 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale. Continuously throughout the class, we're shifting our attention back to our breath, back to our bodies. Inhale again, exhale, side out. Ribcage and belly expands on your inhale. Exhale, it's always optional to sigh it out. We'll start to bend our knees, grab our knees with our hands. 1 round, lift your forehead up towards your knees, chin towards chest, to remain here. And then drop your head back, knees or feet on the floor. And now take that left foot to rest on that right ankle, and then weave your left hand between your legs, interlace your fingers behind that right thigh, and hold. Bring your thigh closer towards your belly, your chest, and intensify that stretch around the left hip. And then release. Opposite side, right ankle, rest on top of that left thigh. Weave your right hand between your legs, interlace your fingers right behind that left thigh. Bring your thigh closer towards your belly, your chest, intensify that stretch around the right hip, right glute. And then release. We'll come into our butterfly pose, both soles of the feet touch. Hands either frame your hips, palms up towards the ceiling. You can rest your hands in front of on top of your belly, your heart center. You can lift your arms up overhead, backs of the hands on the floor, elbows bent. Your head in the center of this diamond. As you lay here in this butterfly pose, remind yourself what your full breath is like. What is the experience of your full breath? Belly expands and ribcage expands. It takes a lot of skill and concentration to maintain deep, long breaths over a period of time. So try a few breaths. If at any point sustaining those long breaths feels uncomfortable, then go ahead and shift back into some more natural breath cycles. As you practice this full breath, know that you can return to this breath at any time throughout your day. Build that bridge of the physical, mental, emotional body. Soften around the neck and shoulders, down the length of your spine, especially around the hips here. The hips open up. You can experiment here with your feet by either pressing your feet closer together. That's going to invite a more active butterfly pose. Or you can soften that touch, just a light touch with your feet. That will make it a more restorative and relaxing pose. Once again, an intentional breath, perhaps lengthening that inhale just a little longer. It can be very subtle. You can let it exhale just a little bit more, and one more breath at whichever pace supports you. Inhale, exhale, sigh out. We'll start to prepare for our Shavasana. If there's one last pose you need to feel more complete for the class, go ahead and take that last pose. Otherwise, release your butterfly pose by lengthening your legs. Shift your hands, your arms, or your palms face the ceiling, framing your hips. It's up to you that as you approach your Shavasana, whether you want to maintain deep, long breaths, you can practice those, or go back to your breath's natural rhythm where you're not really controlling the breath. You're allowing your chest to rise and fall naturally. So that's available as well. Do be purposeful about softening the body. This is a purposeful pose to release, to let go, to receive, and to integrate. It's here to support our nervous system and integrating everything you've worked on today, your strength, your flexibility, your balance, and also your physical, mental, emotional well-being. Soften the muscles around your forehead and jaw. Soften the back of the neck. Front of the neck, around the throat, the center of communication. Soften your shoulders and down the length of your arms. Noticing our palms and fingertips relax. Noticing that our hands hold on to so much and clench so much. Notice what letting go feels like. Notice how effortless, how soft it is to unclench our hands, to not hold on. Soften down the length of your spine, releasing the upper back, mid back, lower back, the area around the tailbone. And then soften down the length of your legs, releasing the hips behind the knees down to your ankles and toes. Observe sensations around you, whether it's your body or outside, without judgment. Let any thoughts float up. I'm not labeling anything as good or bad, just noticing. Start to shift your attention back to your breath. Inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Noticing sensations on your fingertips, in your toes. Once again, returning to a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. You can invite a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, interlacing your fingers, pointing your toes, and or you have the option of turning to your left side or right side, allowing your body to remain heavy and relaxed. Invite a generous and a leisurely breath. And then once you've taken another breath or two, start to slowly make your way up to your seats. So you can come to sit in a cross-legged position, sit on your ankles. If you want to stretch your legs out in front of you, go for it. You have been practicing slowing down and moving with intention. So as you do come into your seat, make sure you make those little adjustments that show that you've been practicing that extra body awareness. And it could be simple things like drawing your shoulders down, lengthening your spine. You can do that. Eyes can be closed, or if you prefer to keep your eyes open, go ahead and do that. Just focus your eyes on one point. And then we'll take a moment here to appreciate our breath, noticing that as we appreciate our breath, we are welcoming our experience, good and bad. And in deep gratitude, we'll seal our class, hands in front of our heart center. Intentional breath here, inhale and exhale here. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.